All right.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. And welcome, Natalie Adona, Nevada County Registrar of Voters and,
Hey,
and Clerk Recorder.
hey, how's it going?
For us, it is, I got some rest. How about you?
I
Election night
finally
was
got some
long.
rest. So election night happened, and I got home at about 1 a.m., which was about I left about 10 minutes before the final people had gotten confirmation from Secretary of State that they could leave. So yeah, and then I woke up at about 5:30 or so and then got right away to breaking down some of our vote centers. So yesterday was finally the day where I got to have like maybe 10 hours of sleep, solid sleep. So I'm feeling pretty good right now.
Excellent. And yeah, so yesterday was I mean, besides recovering a little bit from election night, and I have to say, having spent a good portion of the night at the elections office, it was appropriately boring. So there was nothing, um, there was not much to report except for the updates that came at the frequency that you had said from the outset, every 2 hours. And um, from what I could tell, it was boring and it went according to plan. What did I miss?
Yeah. Yeah, I was really glad because we thought just a few days beforehand that we might have to stay a lot later to wait for results from Truckee because we did not know what the weather was going to be. And I noticed the about, I don't know, maybe 10 or 11 in the morning on election day that they lifted chain controls on 80. So I'm like, oh yeah, we were talking about maybe finding a movie where we could watch it when, and so we wait for Truckee, but turns out we didn't need to do that. So I was really thankful, and yeah, my staff were working so hard. So it was nice to be able to see a light at the end of the tunnel.
And speaking of light at the end of the tunnel, today is day one of the official canvas. So
Yep.
what on earth is the official canvas?
Thanks. So the official canvas is, all of our activities that we do to certify the election, and one of those is continuing to count ballots that were received on election day, and we haven't been able to process yet. But we also make sure that everything went according to plan in terms of the vote counting. So we'll do something called the 1% manual tally, which is basically a post-election audit of 1% of precincts. We'll also go through all of the materials for in-person voting just to be sure that what was reported from the vote centers is actually what happened. And we'll make sure to do things like process the same day registrations that we received at the vote centers. Any provisionals that may have been cast, we'll make sure that we can count them. And if we can't, we'll let the voter know the reason why. So we have 30 days to complete the canvass. In the past, we finished sooner than 30 days. So I'm hopeful for that this time around too.
Well, so speaking of the ballots remaining to be counted, so um, I saw when the various vote centers, when they got this, there were ballots. So how many ballots do you have right now that you have to, when you have to do the whole signature verification, open them, sort them, scan them, tally them, and I suppose that how many do you have now, and what do you expect to, because there's more to come, right?
Yeah, yeah. So right now we estimate just over 9,100 ballots that still have yet to be counted. And we will actually, right now, my staff are going to the post office to see if there are any ballots there. So, for those of you who don't know, the rule is if the ballot is postmarked on or before election day, we have up to 7 days to get that ballot into our office, and it'll be good to count. So yeah, we'll see how many more ballots that we get. I hope a whole bunch.
Yeah, because we have, I mean, right now we have like what, 29% voter turnout,
Yeah.
which is pretty normal actually for a primary. I last night I looked up the 22 and it was like, hey, it was the same. It was like, oh my God, nobody has voted, and actually they were all at the post office.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, as an elections person, of course, I hope turnout is always higher,
Hmm.
right? But primaries, for better or worse, they're usually lower turnout than general elections. So yeah, I think we have that, sort of similar percentages across all counties in California. We're near the top of the list in terms of turnout, so I think that that's good. And yeah, we still have plenty of time to receive the ballots, so hopefully we will get more and get every single person who decided to cast a ballot for this election.
Hmm. And so theoretically, with the convenience of the vote by mail, I could have taken a ballot, gone to Hawaii, and mailed it from Hawaii, and you would still have to count it.
Yep,
Hmm,
absolutely.
who knew? Um, so there is the question that, of course, I mean, it was on election night, and then yesterday, the question we always get is like, well, why can't you count the ballots that you get on election day? Why are they not counted, and how come? So why?
Well, most people in Nevada County choose to vote by mail, and we have to go through a very detailed verification process to make sure that one, the voter hasn't already voted yet, and two, that we're confident that it is actually coming from the qualified voter. That involves signature verification, and we have plenty of equipment and people to make sure that that signature verification process goes smoothly, but it does take time. So, I would say, out of the, all of the ballots that we put through signature verification through the machine, about 50% of them require a human being to review them. So we've got two people who do the manual review process of signatures, and we accept the great majority of them. For anyone who's got a signature mismatch, we've got to send a letter to the voter notifying them that there is a signature mismatch and how to sort of resolve that problem. Sometimes people forget to sign. And so we have to send them a letter that says, hey, you forgot to sign your envelope. Here is the so deadline for actually getting us a signature so we can go ahead and count your ballot. Yeah, it is a very detailed process. We check every signature, whether you vote in person or by mail. So yeah, more options means it takes a little bit more time for us to process everything.
And of course, in the results that you released, which by the way, for now are unofficial results, right?
Yes.
They will
So
be unofficial. Yeah, go ahead.
right, right. No, I think you're on the right track. So, election night is the unofficial result because we have so much that we receive from vote by mail that we need time in order to process those. And so, when we get everything counted and we're, sort of reasonably sure that we did our best to contact anyone who needed to be contacted for follow up, like missing signature, then we will create a official results report.
And that is at the end. So you have until, what is it, April 10th, 12th, something like that. I think the Secretary of State has to certify by the 12th. So you probably have to get it in just a little earlier.
Yeah, we counties have 30 days to do it. So April 5th would be the day for us, and then yeah, Secretary of State is got another week or so to actually certify results for the state.
Mhm.
So, they are our partners in the election, and they send us a something called a ballot statistics report, and it will let us know if they notice anything, any type of discrepancy that we can resolve. It's also their opportunity to let us know if they notice that maybe the same person voted twice. And if we could, sort of follow up with that with our respective district attorneys on anything like that. So yeah, they need some time at the state end to make sure that the data that they're seeing is what we are seeing over here. And yeah, 58 counties. I'm glad I only have responsibility for one.
Oh, but again, and you know, going back to the turnout, so there were people like, well, it can't be. I mean, I know everybody I know has voted, so I took a look at the various precincts, and at least last night, there's one precinct that is clearly above, has voter turnout above all the others, and it is Eschaton Village. The retirement community, I mean, hats off. They voted, a lot of them voted en masse to, and so let's hope that we're going to get the numbers for the other precincts up to the same level. But they're right now they are leading the pack as far as Nevada County voters go.
Well, good job, Eschaton community. I'm so glad to hear that.
I think it
And
was CP30. I think that's them. Because you have on your website, you can go and look at the map of all the precincts. And now you're getting really fancy now with GIS, because now you can, on the results page, now you can actually zoom into your precinct, or you can pick a race, and everything is showing up there with graphic displays, and very fancy. It makes it easier.
I think so too. And as much as I like to think that our election reports are like super interesting, and I'm kind of a numbers geek person, I understand that maybe some people would like to see things a little bit more visually. So we asked the GIS department, hey, we have these spreadsheets with election results. It's called the detailed vote total report that we post. And I'm like, well, it seems like that's an opportunity to make a map, and they help us define what the precincts are. So seems like that makes sense. So yeah, the GIS department did a wonderful job in breaking down the, all of the contests that were on the ballot, and then having the opportunity to show Nevada County voters how they voted on whatever contest that they're interested in. I just think it's a really neat feature. I'm really glad that they were able to do that.
Yeah, no, it looks really neat, and it every once in a while it is easier to look at the map and just say, oh, so that's okay. So here is where either a candidate or a proposition. Here's where the yay or nay votes are. So it's very interesting, and I'm assuming it's also interesting for the various candidate and campaigns. They must be looking at that and focusing their efforts. And then, of course, you have until April 5th to get these votes counted, and then you clear everything out, and then you start for November. Is that the deal?
Sure enough. And just by the way, on that map feature that we have, whenever we report an update to the Secretary of State, we'll work with our GIS department to update the map so it'll reflect all of our updates. And of course, when we have the official report, we'll have the map with all of the official results on it too.
And the got a question to somebody said, when you do the 1% manual hand count, is that a public? Can the public see that?
Oh, absolutely. So, we noticed I should say, we gave notification of what we think the date will be for the 1%. And we'll go ahead and repost that. So, anyone who wants to can come see us, sort of hand tally 1% of the precincts. We do that just to make sure that all the testing that we did at the machines before the election held up during and after the election. So we compare what the machine count is to what the human count is. And yeah, totally open. We will have that at the Rood Center in the same room where we had the vote center at Rood. So the Providence Mine, second floor. And here, probably by the end of the day today, we'll give details on when that's going to happen and what hours, and that the public is welcome to come see.
It is about as exciting as watching paint dry, but it is, but it is democracy in action.
It sure is. And yeah, so the first elections canvas that I ever participated in, it was my first job as a temp over in San Francisco. And, at first I was like, oh yeah, we're doing the elections canvas and it's going to be cool and it's going to be this and that. And about an hour into it, I'm like, wow, this is really exhausting. I don't know that I have sat this long just counting pieces of paper.
And,
but it's important work.
I've seen a few, and I'll probably show up and take a picture, but I can't promise you that I'll stay the whole time.
Yeah, it is important work. And when the 1% is completed, my staff who are actually doing that manual tally are very, very glad that it is over.
I can only imagine. Speaking of staff, so you have your regular election staff, and then you have temp workers, and then you have the vote center. So how many people were working before, during, and after elections? So how many people are involved in an election?
Yeah, so out of my staff, there's 3 permanent people who are just working on the elections, and then me and my assistant Corey O'Hare. We're sort of split between elections and the clerk recorder. So it's a small and tight knit group working on the election side. Then, as far as the temporary employees who work in our office and help to deliver the equipment to all the vote centers, up to 15 we'll hire. Then, as far as the people working inside of the vote centers, anywhere from 50 to 80 people. I think this time we had onboarded 80 people. Some of them dropped out, things happen. But yeah, I think that's a pretty fair estimate. So yeah, 80 to 90 people for any election for us is, I would consider to be, very well staffed and very good. Shout out to the people in the Truckee area who made it to their vote centers, even though there was a blizzard happening outside. They were a lot braver than I am as far as driving in a blizzard.
The pictures look pretty frightening. I mean, it was, a blizzard, but they were there, and they kept the vote center open for most of the time. It was quite impressive. And then of course, at the close of polls, they start tearing everything down, and then you have there's a lot of the county staff that were picking up all the materials that you needed and then bringing it back to the root center. So there are a lot of moving parts as far as this goes.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts, and it is a pretty late night, especially when you start your day at 6 a.m. Mm-hmm. Then it feels really long.
I feel, yeah. That, but the one there's one more question.
Sure.
It's, well, I would say it's probably a tongue-in-cheek question. It's like, once you count all the votes, What are you gonna shred all the ballots?
Well, we do have a retention schedule for every election. So, under the federal and state laws, if there is any ballot that has a federal contest on it, we need to retain the materials for 22 months. If it's only a state or local contest, then we have to retain the materials for 6 months. That's the ballots and all of the stuff that we did to ensure the integrity of the election. We'll seal them up and put them into storage. So the answer is eventually, but certainly not the day after. We do have the obligation to make sure that we retain materials in case someone wants to do a recount, or if someone has evidence of some kind of sort of legal challenge that would um, call the results into question, then those challengers have 22 months in this case, since there's president and U.S. Senate and everything on it. We would have to retain those materials to make room for those challenges. But once that period of time has elapsed, then we go ahead and destroy the materials.
But again, 22 months, let's call it 2 years basically that you keep everything. So you can remove the previous election just when the next election year rolls around, basically.
Yeah,
More or less.
basically.
Except if we have a recall election again.
Or a recount, or something that would like a court order that would sort of force us to sort of keep those materials for longer. And I think there's a certain practicality about it, because we I mean it's physical paper ballots. We have to store it somewhere. We have to keep the material safe, and so keeping them forever would mean a lot of cost to store a whole lot of paper.
Yeah. Mhm.
So yeah, the federal law had sort of picked 22 months, and that's what it says in our state laws too. So yeah, we store them up.
Well, okay then. Well, so now I think people are there's no more questions, and so I think I'm gonna let you get back to the official canvas so that then you can tell us by sometime late this afternoon the updated count and see how many more bags of ballots that they're gonna bring back from the post office.
Yeah, we'll have our next update actually tomorrow. So what we're going to do tomorrow is we're going to give a update on the count. So we'll also have a new unprocessed ballot report at that time too. And so sort of look at our website at around 4 o'clock. If you don't see it, or you're sort of curious and want to know beforehand, we will do our best. And I think it's just sort of been established in Nevada County that we'll do updates a couple of times a week. Under the law, we're obligated to do it at least once a week,
Mhm.
but we'll do it twice. And yeah, our goal is to make sure we count as much as possible by the time those updates come, and of course to make sure that we count everything by the time we're ready to certify.
All right. Well, hey, Natalie, thanks so much for your time, and let's do it again in November.
Hey, you know what, Pascal? This has been really fun.
All
I
right.
I do like this. Hopefully next time I won't have to use my phone and do the awkward sort of wiggling with my phone.
It worked totally fine. Oh, and there's one more question.
Sure.
Is there a mechanism where candidates must sign something saying they're medically eligible to run?
Not that I know of. I mean, there are, for a lot of offices, candidate qualifications.
Mhm.
So, if you have a particular office that you had in mind for the qualifications, I'm happy to look it up in our elections code. But yeah, we don't ask anyone, or at least my office does not ask anyone for like medical report or, doctor's note.
Okay, well, here, there we go. All right. Hey, thanks again, and we'll see you.
Thanks, Pascal, and thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.